Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we mount Lionel in VR. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including those Best Buy leaks, and then with the VR modes for Zelda and Mario. And then on Thursday, come back because we are going to be ranking the Final Fantasy VII party members, because Final Fantasy VII is now on the Switch. But Mark, in the meantime, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling relieved, Patrick.
Why is that?
Relieved that we can finally talk about Final Fantasy VII on this show.
And because we couldn't before.
We couldn't.
Our hands were bound.
Except in absence. We could only ever talk about its lack of appearance on Nintendo platforms.
Right, but now we can. And I mean, Cloud has been in Smash for years now.
It's old news.
It is old news, but we are only now getting to talk about it. And really, get down into the nitty-gritty of it.
It's what we do best.
It's people want this kind of detail work from us.
Really getting our fingers into the scalp of Final Fantasy VII.
That's right. Speaking of things that you can get your fingers into the scalps of, do hedgehogs have scalps?
They have skulls, right? And so
what's a scalp? Technically, what's the scalp? It's the skin
that covers your
head,
your skull,
or is it just skin under hair?
Oh, interesting. So dogs are just one big scalp?
I mean, under their fur, sure. No. I'm saying here that there's a difference between hair and fur.
Okay, I'm listening.
And so a dog has no scalp.
What is the difference to you between hair and fur?
One is on an animal, the other is on a human being.
Interesting.
Although I guess if someone took the skin out from under my eyebrows, I wouldn't consider myself scalped. So.
And are we not animals?
All right. No. Well, yeah. Yes.
But sure. Semantically, I understand your point.
Right.
Of course.
Just as fish is not considered meat culinarily speaking. Humans are not considered animals in terms of whatever I'm talking about.
Right.
Now.
I mean, we are the ones that are making the designation.
Totally.
So we're not animals. We're above that.
Look, these words only mean something because we let them mean something, Mark.
Speaking of which,
if you want to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces for Nintendo Switch, you can. All you got to do is email us your address, Nintendo Cartridge Society @gmail.com. You don't even need to tell me why you want it. It's not even that kind of contest.
I mean, it's kind of implied you at least want to play it. Or at least look at it.
Yeah.
Hold it, have it in your house.
Here's the thing, you need not play it.
Yeah.
You could borrow it, put it up on a shelf, tell people that you own Sonic Forces, and then don't tell them what happened to it when it disappears.
Maybe you've heard what a bad game it is, and so you are putting yourself on the list to act as a hero and prevent somebody else from having that stink in their home.
Sure, jumping on the grenade.
Exactly.
Pulling a real Captain America here.
Absolutely.
Here's something else, though. If you've got that email address, Nintendo Cartridge Society
@gmail.com,
there's something else you can do with it.
You can be, like Captain America, a true hero.
Jump on this grenade, people.
And contribute to our listener question 250-ish episode spectacular.
That's right. So coming up on May 9th, we are going to do an episode that is all driven by listener questions. That's you. So if you've been sitting on the bench listening to this show, I assume while sitting on a bench, and you haven't written into us before, maybe this is a good time to do it.
This is the perfect time to do it.
Ask us any kind of questions you want. Hopefully they're Nintendo related or video game related.
Yeah, maybe we'll do an extended 433. Maybe we'll do multiple 433s.
Maybe every time a question comes up that is not Nintendo related, we will make it a 433.
Basically, yeah, we're just going to kind of see where the listener questions lead us, but we would love for you to write in.
And so this episode is going to go live on May 9th. We will probably be recording it the Monday before that, which means that your questions are due May 5th, which is, of course, Cinco de Mayo, and the first day of Ramadan, so you have no reason to miss it.
Yeah, lots to celebrate, lots to remember the due date by.
That's right. So just send us your questions to Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com. Oh, and one small debug before we get into the rest of the show. So last week, Patrick and I were struggling to remember what ARMS like Splatfest type things are called.
You say struggling, I gleefully forgot.
Party Punch is what I was calling them because I couldn't remember what they were actually called. It turns out that they are called, as far as I can tell, Party Crash.
Party Crash. That makes sense.
Does it?
I mean, it makes sense that is what it is called. Like that. You know what I mean? Like that sounds right. I guess is what I meant.
Yeah.
More than anything. Is there a lot of crashing in the game?
There's a lot of punching.
Yeah. Seems like
That's where my confusion comes from.
It seems like Party Punch would have been better. Well, all right. That's all well and good. Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week.
So I had a little bit of a Goldilocks situation this weekend. I had a little bit of time to play video games. And so I booted up my Switch, which I hadn't done since I got home at the beginning of April.
Wow.
And I had friend requests from people who presumably listen to the show. So that was really fun.
Oh, yeah. We love it when you guys do that.
Yeah, I'm getting close to 99, I think, which is the max. So
well, it's 100, right?
Oh, I guess 100.
Yeah.
Is the max. So if you haven't yet, send in your friend requests.
Yeah, I believe I only have 3 more slots. And I would assume that you and I have essentially the same friends list.
Oh, what if people are choosing their favorites and they're like, I like Patrick. I want to be his friend on Switch. I don't care for Mark's opinions. I don't want to know what he's... I bet that happens all the time. Now I'm angry.
Look, you don't have to pick your favorite. But if you do pick a favorite... tweet at us, let us know.
Okay, so had a little bit of a Goldilocks situation. Booted up the Switch. Was friends with all the people who like me but don't like Patrick.
Wow.
And so then I was trying to find a game that I wanted to play. I was looking at the eShop. I was like, should I buy something? Should I buy Final Fantasy VII? Should I buy Baba Is You? No, I have a bunch of games that I haven't put a ton of time into. So I turned on New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe and started playing one level, and it's I'm just not in the mood for this. So I finally settled on the perfect video game, Tetris 99.
Thank you. Yes, Mark. Welcome.
It was exactly what I wanted. As soon as I started playing it, it's yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. We're I have to pay attention, but not really. It was you could just lose yourself in the mindless fun that is Tetris 99.
Yeah, and not beat yourself up when you don't win, because you win so few.
I mean, never. I've never won. I've never made it into the top 10. I was getting destroyed when I was playing this weekend. It was if I made it to the top 50, I was elated.
Yeah. Then Sarah was probably beating you a couple times because she was playing over the weekend. And when she plays, I also play a couple games here and there. But I think she won 5 times this weekend.
Wow.
Which is very impressive. I have not won one since the tournament. And I believe I won 2 during that, and I won 2 before that. So yeah, my win count is in the 4. It's 4.
My husband was watching me play a little bit, and he was like, "Oh, are you playing Tetris?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's a battle Tetris." And he didn't say anything, but I could tell he felt like I wasn't doing very well because I wasn't. And he was like, "I'd probably be really good at this," which made me a little bit upset, only because that's you can't say that and then not play.
Oh, totally. Especially with Tetris. Tetris is one of those games that is very easy to Monday morning quarterback, but a second later, when you're just shouldn't have put that there, shouldn't have dropped that piece there. But actually in the moment, Tetris is worlds different from watching someone else play it. Also, watching anyone play Tetris is a maddening experience, right? Because the whole time you're thinking, this person's an idiot. Why aren't their instincts identical to mine?
But here's the thing is, I think he would be really good at it.
Well, then put a controller in his hand. There's nothing wrong with playing a little Tetris 99, and you were able to do this as part of, because we both did this now, we redeemed our Amazon Prime, Twitch Prime
Yes, that's right. The
free online.
Uh-huh.
Not that we weren't both already subscribed, but hey, you can get a year of it for free. You just got to go to the Twitch Prime link. Just Google Twitch Prime
Nintendo Switch Online.
And do that and get yourself a free year of this thing. It'll save you $20. Mark, I've been playing. Well, first, I believe that I have finished my experience of Yoshi's Crafted World.
Does that mean that you defeated that like final boss gauntlet thing?
Defeated that final boss gauntlet thing. It was very difficult, but when I got through it, I felt great, and it was a ton of fun. I loved it. It unlocks a robot who, like, you know, to get into every level, a robot is kind of blocking the way, and you need to give him a certain number of flowers. 5, 10, 15. As you're going through the
20.
No, Mark. As you are going through the Hidden Hills levels, it's 30 between each one.
I see.
And then 50 before the last one. So it's a lot of flowers to get through just the Hidden Hills zone. And I did that, and then a new robot appears.
Ooh.
And this robot says, I need 317 flowers. Now, this is every flower in the game. Every single one. And that's when I said, no, I'm good. That's when I said, I'm not going to do that.
So it's every single flower in the game. Do you have to go back and earn every flower in the game in order to do that?
No, so it's there in the game in total has like 690 whatever flowers, but you've just already spent.
Oh, so it's the remainder. You would have to go
Yes.
back into every level and get every remaining flower.
Right. No collectible uncollected. And I was curious, like, well, what is that? What does that get you?
Did you just Google it?
I just went online.
Okay, yeah.
And first of all, there are very few outlets that have gotten that far in this game. And actually, I find the wiki scene or like walkthrough scene for Yoshi's Crafted World to be kind of weak. There are a lot of hard to find collectibles in this game, and I don't know why someone's not on top of it. That being said, I do not step forward I do not volunteer to create that wiki. But yeah, so I went online and looked it up and I watched a video of someone who had gotten all of them and was like, okay, here I'm showing like all the lists and here's all the things I got. This video is like 45 minutes long, right? And ends with him like going up to the robot and like giving him all the flowers and watching as it feeds him 317 flowers, which takes as long as you think it would. And then what does he get for it?
Spoiler warning?
No. No, because I don't think it's a costume. You get one costume.
Oh no!
For this, and the costume is the Yoshi Dream Stone. So it is the thing that you were collecting the individual Infinity Stones for, and that's it. Like literally, there is nothing else.
I love the fact that it's not worth it. It's like
it's totally not worth it.
I like when you collect all. What is it, like 999 Korok seeds in Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
You like get nothing.
Yeah, you get a poop, right? And like the video I was watching, the guy was like kind of disappointed that that's all he got, and then he was like, I'm gonna try beating the game, rolling the credits, and seeing, wearing the costume and seeing if that does anything. It does not. He was like, all right, what if I do the boss gauntlet? What if I do like the really hard one wearing the costume? It does nothing. So it was a pretty funny video, and now I wish I could remember who put it up, but not recommended. Don't collect all the flowers in Yoshi's Crafted World. It gives you nothing to do so. I have also been playing Super Mario Maker on my Wii U.
Feeling that Super Mario Maker 2 hype?
Oh yeah, I'm feeling that Super Mario Maker 2 hype. I am I'm starting to get a little nervous about the sort of like radial dial mode of creation, just because the touchpad and a stylus is such a like fun and intuitive kind of like intimate way to create levels. There's something very, very fun to me about just like having all of it right in front of me and just sort of like lazily creating these levels. Like it feels very intimate. And I think some of that will be lost when you're interacting with the TV. But also, maybe there will be a touch component too. Just like without the stylus, it doesn't feel like that'll really be like that. But I've been both making levels and playing levels that are up online. I wish that the Miiverse was still there. I got a ton of notifications that like people were posting comments about levels that I had made and uploaded and forgot about 2 years ago. And I can't see those comments
that's
anymore.
a bummer.
They're all gone. They're not saved somewhere. But and then I also played all of my old levels. Some of my old levels are very hard. I got mad at me a couple times.
Were some of them like good though? Were you like, these
yeah.
are quality levels?
Yeah.
Because you know how sometimes you like write something and you're like, this sucks. And then like months later, a year later, whatever, you go back to it. And sometimes you're pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't remember writing that, but that was actually pretty good. Other times you look at it and you're like,
wow,
wow, that was trash.
Like, who are you trying to impress? Idiot. No, I generally speaking, I don't know what I would have to really trace back, like what was happening to me creatively when Mario Maker was out, like it first came out. But all of my levels are one idea just riffed on over and over again. Like there's a purity there that like nothing feels outside of what the game of the level was.
Thousands of dollars of improv.
There we go.
Classes will do that to you.
And now no one can comment on them anymore. All right, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Today, April 9th, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy is out on the Switch eShop.
Oh, that's exciting.
It is exciting. I was very tempted to buy this. I haven't bought it yet. I love these games.
Yes.
These are my favorite games in like the Ace Attorney series. But I just don't know that I need to play all of them again.
Sure.
And it's one of those things where because it's all three, it almost guarantees that I won't really like play all of it because it's just too much Ace Attorney at one time.
But would you pay the price of buying all three to just buy one of them?
No.
Oh, well, okay.
Well, and again, it's not like I have to play all of these at one time.
Yeah.
I may just buy them because I love these games and I like want to own them on Switch in case I ever want to go back to them. But if you've never played Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, this is a great opportunity to pick them up.
Yeah.
Really fun, really great games. On Wednesday, April 10th, we get our April Nintendo Switch Online NES online games.
Great.
Punch-Out featuring Mr. Dream, Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels, and Star Soldier.
So let's talk about this. It's kind of a weird bunch of games, with like the least weird being Punch-Out, right?
Right.
But even still, we got to talk a little bit about Punch-Out. It is, of course, the Punch-Out that does not feature Mike Tyson, because after 3 years of publishing Punch-Out featuring Mike Tyson, Nintendo's contract with Tyson
Lapsed.
ended. Yeah, it lapsed. And also this is when people started to discover like, oh, maybe he's like a monster in real life. And so, they didn't pursue that any further. And they put out the exact same game featuring Mr. Dream, and it's just like a swap, that it's the same character, same movesets, he just looks different.
So there's 3 versions of Punch-Out for NES. There's just like straight up Punch-Out. And then there's Punch-Out featuring Mike Tyson, and then there's Punch-Out featuring Mr. Dream. Is that correct?
So I don't think that the original. So there's the arcade Punch-Out.
Which version is on the NES Classic Edition?
I believe with Mr. Dream.
Oh, okay.
But I could be wrong. I would have to go back and check it out. I'm not good at Punch-Out. It's not a game that I ever like sat down and learned all of the fighter patterns for. So who's the last fighter in there? I might I might never know. But on April 4th this year, Mike Tyson tweeted with a screenshot of Nintendo of America's tweet announcing these games. Here's Mike Tyson's tweet. Mr. Dream, everyone tell Nintendo who they think of when they hear Punch-Out. And then, like, an hour later, he tweeted, heard Nintendo is doing a new Punch-Out without even contacting me. It won't be the same. My knockouts made the game. That's whack.
Nobody tell him about the SNES or
the
Wii
Wii
version.
one. Yeah, or the fact that they put out the version of this game without him in 1990. Like it was just a very bizarre thing. And also his knockouts made the game. What? What are you talking about?
Here's another question for you.
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels.
Pass. Hard
So
pass.
I only ever did this ever actually release on NES, or was the first time we saw this the only time we've seen this is part of the All Stars collection on SNES?
So that is the first time we saw it for sure. It was never released on the NES. However, it has been re-released in various virtual consoles since then. I know I have purchased it on the Wii virtual console, and I have it on my 3DS through that virtual console as well.
Okay, because I guess the part I don't understand is obviously the Lost Levels was released on the NES, or at least the Famicom, in Japan as
Yes.
Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yes.
But the Lost Levels, when it came here, didn't it have like the visual upgrades and all that kind of stuff that
Yeah,
all
only
of the Mario
only
Brothers
as
games?
only as part of that collection. When
But it's a different game, or like it's not the exact same game as Super Mario Brothers 2. Like they made it easier. Like there were adjustments made.
Oh, that's not my understanding at all. My understanding is that Super Mario Brothers the Lost Levels is identical to Super Mario Brothers 2 Japan.
I don't think that's true, but maybe it is. So basically, let's say it is. Then because I'm usually wrong about these things when it comes down to like me saying one thing and you being like, I don't think so.
I find actually that both you and I proceed with some amount of confidence, and then when the other person says, I don't think so, the other one immediately backs down. It doesn't matter which way it's going.
Okay, well, let's say the Lost Levels is the same game as Super Mario Brothers 2. Are you saying that they are just releasing Super Mario Brothers 2? Basically, what I'm saying is I don't think Lost Levels, as we know it, as Lost Levels, was ever released on the NES. So I don't know what this game is.
No, I agree with you 100%. But there is Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels has been released on other virtual consoles without the Super Nintendo Mario All Stars like updated graphics. That has already happened.
And you're saying the way that that's possible is because it is literally the same game as Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
But localized, so there's not Japanese text on the screen. Although I don't know what text would there be on the screen. I guess Mario, our princess is in another castle. But yeah, it's in English. But yeah,
interesting. Listener, if you have more clarity on which one of us is correct,
yep. You should email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
And then also just like email us questions for our question episode.
Oh yeah, maybe
that'll be more fun.
Maybe like, could you guys research this more? ? Could be a question for that show.
Okay, I don't want any sassy questions.
I do. I want a lot of sassy questions. Where we're like on our toes the entire episode, like apologizing and just like real nervous, sweating profusely. Okay, and finally,
I want all the questions to start. Shouldn't you apologize for ?
And then finally, Star Soldier, which appears to be a shoot 'em up by Hudson. And I have never played this game, but I like the title because you could sing it as you would sing Goldfinger.
Star Soldier.
Exactly, or like Moon River, which would sound almost exactly the same. Yeah, so that's pretty much Star Soldier. On April 11th, Hellblade. How do you say Senua's Sacrifice is released. This was like kind of a surprise announcement.
Mm-hmm.
You played this on the PS4. I'm kind of interested in picking this up.
This is a great game. It is a like psychological thriller of sorts. You play as a woman who is gradually going mad, and she carries her lover's head on like a hip bag. As she like tries to bury his remains, and then just like sees stuff in the world.
Yeah, is it fair to call this a walking simulator?
No, because there's combat. There's a lot of combat in here, and there are like the puzzle solving elements. Are you have to see runes like in the makeup of the environments that you're in. So like you'll see that you have to like target three different runes, and it'll show you the shapes of the runes, and you really just have to like stand in the right place so that like the ladder leans against a tree in a way that like it looks like the rune.
Mm-hmm.
And like as you're doing this, you can't really tell if what she's seeing is real or is fake because she's having the psychotic break, and this is in an era before anyone understands psychosis. So she's just treated as like an outcast and a witch. But yeah, no, it's cool, and I suppose it takes the like positive aspects of a walking simulator and puts some cool combat and stuff. But it can be an intense experience. I played this game in an apartment where we had the air conditioning running full blast because it was hot, and therefore it was kind of loud, so the volume was turned up. And like this game creates a nightmarish soundscape that just sort of like crushes everyone while you play, or crushes you while you play. And so that can be part of the experience if you wanted to.
And then on Friday, April 12th, the Nintendo Labo Toy-Con kit number 4, the VR kit, is released. And also Young Link, Ken, and Daisy Amiibo are coming out on Friday as well.
That's exciting. Do I need to get my hands on a Young Link? I think I do.
Maybe just to like round out the collection.
I've got, I believe, every other Zelda Amiibo. So it would be wrong. It would be wrong.
It would be.
It'd
be against God. Also, one thing I just want to note that it happened sometime last week. But did you see that Donkey Kong Country 3, the Arcade Archive version, was released for Switch?
No, not Donkey Kong Country 3, but
Donkey Kong 3.
Donkey Kong 3, the Arcade Archives, is out on Switch. So if you want to, you could get the whole original Donkey Kong trilogy as it appears on arcades on Switch. Here's the thing: Donkey Kong 3 is not a. There's no point in playing it. Like it's.
I am shocked to hear you say this. I feel like you're show's resident Donkey Kong 3 booster.
I am, because
Stanley the Bugman?
Stanley the Bugman. I love Stanley the Bugman. This game is no fun. It's like not it's not a good game. It doesn't control well. The enemies are weird and look weird. And yeah, it's just it's a confusing game. You can play it for like 5 minutes and then you're like, "Oh, good. I never need to touch
wow,
this again."
I thought I was bringing you good news.
No. You aren't. Where have I played this game before? Why do I have a lot of experience with Donkey Kong 3? Don't know, but I do, Mark. I do. Okay, that's gonna be it for the new releases. Let's close out this segment. And now it's time for a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, you have decided to surprise me with the topic today.
Right, just because I need you to go into this with an open mind and not like any preconceived notions.
Right.
So I have a friend who every time they take a drink of something, they finish it off by going like they were in a soda commercial.
Sure.
And
are they also holding the soda can so like you can
see
make
the
out
brand?
The logo? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you considered this person is in a soda commercial?
And it kind of drives me crazy, or at least it did. Because they don't realize they're doing, like, I don't think they realize they're doing it. And it got me wondering if, like, that actually increases the refreshment that one feels after you take a drink.
I think if it ever had that effect on them, like psychologically, that they have done it so many times now that like that has all just been run over in their head.
Oh,
right?
interesting.
That is all just kind of like washed itself out.
Yeah.
And made itself even. That sort of thing is very interesting to me because it's obviously like, sorry, the audience here in the crowd watching 433 is amused by something. So you know how like sometimes you can tell someone's putting on a specific laugh, or like I remember when I was young, my father has a very distinct sneeze. May I perform it for you?
Please.
He goes, it's always like that. Always with that. And so I went through a like period where I wanted to also have like an audible, articulated sneeze.
Sure.
And then I had a hard time like pulling it back after that, like because I made myself sort of vocalize a little bit during a sneeze. then it just sort of became part of my sneeze.
So I have another friend who is very like curmudgeonly, and they like are aware of it, and they say like, "Oh, it started out as like a joke." And that it's just how I did it so it's like a classic, like if you make that face long enough, it's going to stick.
Yeah, no, I think that stuff's real. And I mean, it's true also of vocabulary, right? Like, I remember there was a long time that I was using the word totes, like, ironically, and then it just, like, fell into my vocabulary. And then I was just like, no, I guess it's just a word I say. Or, like, how we all say bro now. And, like... You know, no one thinks twice about it. It's just part of the way we speak.
I think we should try it, though. I think we should try. I'm genuinely curious is if we take a drink and go, if it does that increase your refreshment? Let me try. All
right, yeah, go for it.
Compare our experience.
What do you think?
I'm gonna say yes. It did a little bit.
So you did.
I felt a little more refreshed, and maybe that's just because it's like you're taking a deep breath, like drinking, and then letting that breath out.
So you're doing like a real
breathing ritual,
yeah, like a real open mouth,
right?
Breathe out. Okay, let me try. Let me try. No.
Nothing?
No, I don't think so.
See, maybe like I just appreciate simple joys in life more than you do.
Wow.
But that's just another reason for people to friend me.
Oh, okay, but come on. I'm just look. Mark's probably lying to you. Do you want to be friends with a liar?
We're not going to say friends on what, because that would.
Oh, right, that would
be
breaking
the contract.
Can you think of any other, or like, do you have any of those things like that you have? No, stop it. Stop it. You're right. It is annoying. But like with like a laugh or anything along those lines.
I mean, I have a very distinctive laugh,
which
not everybody enjoys. I remember working at a bookstore when I was in college, and I was up at the front, like at the register, and it was a Borders, which doesn't exist anymore. So if you're not familiar with the Borders, it's basically like a Barnes and Noble, which you may or may not be familiar with, but basically there were
big bookstore.
Yeah, there were like registers at the front, and in the back was like the cafe. And an old man got up from. I was like talking to one of the somebody else at the register, and we were like laughing. And then, well, I guess we'll never know.
Wow, that's a heartbreaker.
I might have already told this story. So,
all right. Well, we were accompanied today by Future Workspace. Did we say I guess we'll never know? You said I guess we'll never know. I guess we'll never know. Future Workspace. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
Last week there was an apparent leak. You can't see me doing the air quotes, but leak.
You can hear it though.
On Best Buy's internal inventory system that included listings for Persona 5 for Switch, Metroid Prime Trilogy for Switch, and The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for Switch.
Okay, all right. So, megaton news drop, if real.
Right. I mean, Persona 5 for Switch, much rumored, but there's been no like confirmation at all that it exists.
Right. And actually very little to suggest that it is real.
Yes.
Evidence that it is real or that it could be real is that Persona 5S is something that Atlas is going or has announced, and they are going to reveal on April 25th. What the S stands for or what that game is a total mystery right now. Persona 5R, which was revealed to be Persona 5 The Royal. There was a trailer for that, which started with the PlayStation logo, so we know that for sure that that's a PlayStation product. We do not have that much information about Persona 5S, so is it a PlayStation product? Is it a multi-platform product? Is it a Switch product? It could be a Switch product. S could stand for Switch. That could be right. It could be Stadium. S could stand for Stadium. It could be a Persona fighting game. They do that for these games. So yeah, I'm just the evidence right now is laid out that like it could be Persona for Switch. It could not be Persona for Switch.
Metroid Prime Trilogy for Switch, much rumored.
Yes,
but again, same sort of thing. No proof that it exists other than the rumors.
Yeah, and that people want it. And with Metroid Prime 4 being pushed back until God knows when. I think that's another thing that just makes people go, well, put out the trilogy, as if it is something that is done and can just be pushed out. And then there's the big question mark here, which is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. That's the one. That's the one that's so weird and so random that makes me suspect that this is true.
Right, because it's not like somebody fat-fingered Link's Awakening.
Right. If you type in Link's Awakening, it doesn't autocorrect to A Link to the Past. But also, I mean, it could just be some like weird guesses that, and these 3 entries could be totally unrelated.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I guess in the realm of possibility, Best Buy does sell download cards for games. So maybe like instead of Super Nintendo games being part of some like online subscription like NES games are, they're just going to release them like they do Arcade Archives or whatever. And this is
totally possible.
Like, I don't know. I really don't know what to make of this at all.
I mean, I suppose it's also possible that the Link to the Past or the Link's Awakening team is just remaking all the 2D Zeldas in that same engine.
Yeah,
they're just gonna put them all out separately.
Also possible.
Who knows? It's and this is not.
Or maybe it's some sort of like collectible. Like the name is really long, and so
yeah, that could be. Yeah, that it's like a special Link to the Past. Hey, we didn't get a Link to the Past amiibo when they were doing the Zelda 30th anniversary collection. There's no Zelda 2 amiibo. There's no Link to the Past amiibo. There's no Link's Awakening amiibo. They could put the 3 of those out alongside the Link's Awakening remake. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
And all of this is it's you mentioned that it's Best Buy's internal inventory system. So this is not anything that was ever meant to be like client or customer facing or anything like that. I would be willing to believe that there are listings in their inventory for thousands of products that will never be made, will never be sold.
These have also since been deleted.
Yeah. So there you go.
There have been rumors for a while now that years ago, Nintendo reached out to the developers of the Burnout franchise, which is like racing games, Criterion, about developing a new F-Zero game. And for fans of F-Zero, this was always something that like, Nintendo, it's not a dead franchise. They're like looking for ways to make this happen. And that at the time, Criterion couldn't develop anything because they were owned by EA and they had like obligations to whatever franchise they were working on at the time.
Okay.
In a recent episode of the Game Informer show, Criterion founder Alex Ward, who left the developer back in 2014 to start his own company, Three Fields Entertainment, cleared up exactly what happened. So he says basically someone very junior at Nintendo of Europe sent him an email saying something like, "Hey, some of us were talking."
Oh, okay.
And Alex replied to the email explaining that Criterion was wholly owned by EA and gave him the email of the contact at EA who you would reach out to for like something like that. And
sure. So which is to suggest that these weren't high level decisions,
right,
or high level conversations going on here.
It was like somebody found him on LinkedIn or something and send him an email.
They're like, this is the equivalent of sliding into the DMs is what it is.
Right.
Someone a little bit too presumptuously being like, hey, you guys want to make an F-Zero game? I think it'd be cool.
So it sounds like it was not ever really a thing. Alex Ward also went on to say that he doesn't even really like F-Zero that much. And given the opportunity, he would choose to not develop it because he and his company want to focus on their own IP.
How are you on F-Zero? How do you feel about
I'm
the
completely
franchise?
indifferent.
Yeah. Think the only F-Zero game I've ever played is the Super Nintendo one, which is obviously the first, and it's dated as all get out. And I like it okay. I like the music. I like the aesthetics. But yeah, I mean, if I were him, I would also say I'm not really big on F-Zero. I'd rather do something new.
According to GameStop, the Switch release of Wolfenstein Youngblood won't come with a cartridge. Inside the box will be a digital code for redemption on the eShop, but that's it.
This is weird, right?
Is it?
I mean, it is weird in that. So we've seen a lot of game collections, right, where like it's 2 games being sold together, and one of them is on the card and the other one is a digital download.
Or we've seen, I think, like Doom and other large games like that, where you buy the cart, but then there is an additional
It still
download to
needs
get
a
like
big
everything.
download.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess like when it comes down to that, let me ask you this. No, the real issue here is that it takes away the resellability of
And I
the
think
game,
also just
right?
like the permanence.
Yeah.
Because at any time, really, like we saw with Super Mario Maker, at any time Nintendo or Bethesda or whatever could just when the eShop ends,
Yeah.
like you don't really own the game, which I think is a lot of people's problem with
Yeah.
going digital only.
Yeah. And that is especially difficult if like because this is obviously going to be a big game, right? Like if you've got bad download speed or whatever.
Oh, sure. Or you just don't want to buy an enormous
memory card.
Memory card.
Yeah. So I think this is kind of crummy.
So this hasn't been confirmed by Bethesda. They haven't said anything. It's just coming from GameStop. But I agree. I mean, yes, I agree. For me personally, I buy all of my games digitally. I've kind of embraced the impermanence of all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that that's a great way for any of this to operate.
Right. Like I'm happy that there are that both options exist. That you can usually buy something physically or buy it digitally. And even if you are buying it digitally or physically, and you need to have like some download or whatever to play it, I guess that's the part that bothers me. If you buy something in a store, you shouldn't also need an internet connection in order to enjoy at least some version of it. Like I get that if I buy a game and like don't download the day one patch, like there'll be some bugs in it or whatever, but you can still kind of enjoy the game. Any game that requires you to download something on the first day to even play it seems like kind of scammy to me.
Labo VR is coming out this Friday, but if you're not ready to pick it up yet, on Sunday, April 14th, from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., Best Buy stores across the U.S. will be holding hands-on demos.
Interesting.
With the system, so you can check out Best Buy's website to find out if a store close to you is participating.
One day,
yeah,
just to demo the VR capabilities of Nintendo Labo.
I mean, let's be honest, it's not gonna take more than one day.
I mean, I guess, but like that means you have to like go that day from 11 a.m. to 2:30. It's such a weird narrow window. No, and like the thing that's especially weird about this to me is like I feel like this is what PlayStation should be doing with like their VR stuff, because like VR is something that like you buy into, and then there's like a big like ecosystem of games and applications that support it, and that's not really going to be the case for Labo VR, and also not really what I think of as the selling point for Labo. The whole thing seems weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, I assume Nintendo is like paying a promotional fee for it, so I'm sure that's why Best Buy is doing it. I think it's a good idea because I think there are people who are very curious about what Labo VR is going to be like, and just want to check it out. And even if a small percentage of those people are convinced to buy Labo VR, I think it's a worthwhile exercise.
They must be confident in the experience then.
Well, I mean
at least
clearly, because they're selling it for like $80.
Yeah, but that's what they sell all the Labo kits for.
Right, but so yes, they are confident in it.
But I'm just saying that like, they weren't confident in like the software experience of any of the previous Labo kits. Like I think they understand that what is compelling about Labo for the most part is building it and then the novelty of using a thing you just built to play a game. And it seems like you're not going to be going to a Best Buy and like building something at Best Buy, right? You're going to be going there and they're going to hand you a completed Labo kit, VR kit. So yeah, the whole thing I'm very interested in, and we will get our hands on a Labo VR. and play as many of these experiences as we can. But like right now, I'm still very like, it all seems very strange to me.
Speaking of Labo VR, Nintendo has revealed that The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey will be getting updates later this month to support some sort of Labo VR functionality in each game.
Yeah, this stuff is crazy. So starting with Odyssey, it looks like it is just individual like slices of the game.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
maybe
both
new
of them
experiences?
seems like yeah. So, in Odyssey, they're promising basically just like some bonus experiences that they're describing as bite-sized. You can revisit the Cap Kingdom, the Seaside Kingdom, and the Luncheon Kingdoms, and there's 3 new mini missions that appear to be just like the collecting music notes
Yeah.
and coins.
And
type
these
stuff.
these all look from the video trailer that they had for it. These all look a little bit like Asherbot Rescue Mission if you've played that on PlayStation VR, which is a very like fixed perspective. Like the camera, you are in one location, and then you control Mario like within that space, and you can like move your head around to see more around that space. But you don't have to worry about like a motion sickness element because you're not actually, the camera's not moving. It'll pivot around, but it won't actually move. And then what's the deal with Breath of the Wild?
So basically, they say that it's like see Link's world in a whole new way with Nintendo Labo VR. It's like a feature that you can toggle on and off. I don't really understand it. Here's my guess.
It looks like it's the whole game.
My guess is that it's going to be something like you know how you pick up the Sheikah slate,
Yeah.
and it can like zoom in and out and like all that kind of stuff. Like you use it to look around.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's basically what it's going to be.
If it's like just when you're in that first person like tagging stuff mode.
Yeah.
And you just have to like slide it into the VR headset when that's happening. I mean, the thing to remember for all of these is that the Labo VR headset does not have a stand. It does not have a strap. So you, while playing these games, you will be holding it up to your head. You'll have to. And that's also the only way it will know that you're tilting your head and like to move the camera around is because the Joy-Cons are stuck in it.
Just so many unanswered questions.
It's going to be, this is going to, I don't think any of this is going to work well. I like the idea of playing either of these games in VR, but like I've expressed this multiple times on the show, but VR for me is such a like physical comfort. Playing VR is so important, and that's one of the things I like about the PlayStation VR is the headset is nice, it's adjustable, it feels very natural, and just when you put it on, you stop thinking about it. And if I have to think about holding this thing up to my face, that puts it at like a sub Virtual Boy level. Which also, when is that library coming to the Switch?
So, Labo VR of course comes out this Friday. The updates to Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild drop on April 25th. So, a little bit of time.
One day before Endgame.
Oh, there you go. Something to do in line. In an update
Let's do that.
In an update on the official Starlink Battle for Atlas website, the game's developers acknowledged that the game sold below expectations, and that means that there will be no new toys released in the future. But fans of the game can still look forward to new digital ships, pilots, and weapons to collect, in addition to new activities, missions, and challenges coming soon.
It always seemed like a bold strategy to be selling toys of characters that nobody knew.
Yeah, and it just seemed so, like, way after the fact.
Oh yeah,
like all these like Toy for Life things were already shutting down
right
before this was even announced.
Yeah, like a long time, right? Because like Disney Infinity and Skylanders, which I guess is an example of selling toys of characters nobody knew at that time.
I mean, Spyro was a main part of that.
But that's it. Like Spyro, and then everyone else is, like a weird lava monster.
Yeah.
Kids loved him, I guess. But like Starlink isn't really even, or doesn't even really appear to be marketed towards kids or like designed for kids. So yeah, the whole thing's just sort of confusing. I'm glad that they're going to continue to support it with digital content because it's not a bad game. But it was maybe just a weird fit for Toys to Life.
Theme Park Universal Studios Singapore announced that they are getting a Super Nintendo Land or Super Nintendo World land.
Very good.
Super Nintendo Worlds were previously announced for Universal Studios Japan, Florida, and Hollywood. That with the Universal Studios Japan version opening first, should be in time for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics.
Oh boy. I'm excited for Galaxy's Edge to open at Disneyland.
Mm-hmm. That's the Star Wars land.
Yeah. But like it is just part of Disneyland. So it's going to take an already crowded, popular thing and like add another popular, like new thing. I feel like it's just going to be packed, right? It's going to be
totally
crowds on crowds on crowds, and that's what opening of a new land at Universal Studios Japan plus 2020 Tokyo Olympics says to me, plus just Tokyo. I mean, like you could take both those special things away.
So Universal Studios Japan is actually in Osaka. But
there we
point
go.
taken. I know what everybody presumes to be Super Nintendo World for Universal Studios Hollywood is already like under construction.
Yeah.
But so probably going to open here in LA, I would guess around like 2021.
Yeah.
And Universal Studios has no qualms about selling like front of the line passes.
That's right.
They call it like Universal Studios Express. So we should just 100% do that.
Yeah, no, let's do that.
And then finally, Nintendo is holding another Tetris 99 Maximus Cup this weekend.
Yes.
April 12th from 6 a.m. Pacific time to April 14th, 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. Like last time, after the event, the top 999 players will receive 999 Nintendo Gold coins.
That's basically $10, and all you got to do is win a bunch at one of the hardest games there is. Mark, will you be playing?
Yeah, I'll probably dabble. I mean, I haven't won yet, so unless I have like an incredible upswing, maybe I'll just get my husband to do it.
There you go. He's so good. All right, let's get out of the news. That is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts. If you like the episode, you can share it on Facebook or Twitter or any other place where you share things. We like all of it. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell. And the show is at Nin Cart Society. You can also check out the Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying, Mike Tyson, you're whack. And thanks for listening.
Campfire.